Hello and welcome to TCG Buzz. We are talking about one of those things that just annoys us to all ends. We see this all the time. I can't count the number of times a indie dev for a TCG or a board game or whatever has done this one thing and driven me personally insane.
Oh, all the time. I even get this when people are pitching me their games for publishing, and I hear this all the time from our consulting clients at Speedrobo Games as well. But I think the gentleman here who has like with some of the most experience dealing with this is actually two lanes because he even has a catchphrase related to today's topic, which is what's it play like and play game.
Play game, yes. I would tell you my opinions on this matter, but they're actually really close to me, and I don't think I'll be able to tell them because I don't want you guys to steal my opinion. I'm sorry.
Oh, of course, of course. Just like how it is the most common thing in this entire industry to have your game stolen. Oh no, you got to really worry about that. You can't tell anybody how your game plays. And before you show anybody your game, you have to make sure it's trademarked, it's patented, and all your playtesters sign an NDA. It's so important, people. It's the most important thing in the world. And I'm being sarcastic.
I have had conversations where I've very gently nudged people off of the ledge of my game so special and important. If you see it, you're automatically going to steal it. This is not one of those gentle, subtle conversations. This is us ranting about something we have all dealt with hundreds of times.
I always like asking somebody to tell me about their game, that thing that you would want if you're making a game. Having somebody ask you, "Hey, can you tell me about your game?" And they're like, "No, I can't. It's not ready. I can't do it. I can't tell you anything." I'm like, "Okay, well, nah, I guess
Then
I don't
why are
care
you
then."
here? Why are you in Tabletop Aces? Why are you in the HTCG server? Why are
Right.
you talking about this on the homemade TCG subreddit? Why are you here then if you're not going to talk about your game?
Right? And like it's fine. I want to make this clear to people listening. It's fine if you're working on a game and you don't think it's ready to show to people on the internet and you just want to keep showing your friends and family. But then like Jacob said, don't tell people on the internet that you're working on a game because people are going to ask you, especially in these communities that are all about game dev. And especially, don't talk to me, an indie game consultant and publisher, if you don't have anything to show me or you don't want to show me. Don't talk to me. Finish your game first and get it in a spot where you do feel comfortable and are willing to show it. And then be willing to show it because no one's going to steal your game, little bro. It's just not going to happen.
It's probably one of the most beginner mistakes, pitfalls, I guess, to be worried about people stealing your game, your idea. But at the end of the day, like, ideas are not really the hard part about making games. Making it from the idea into a game is hard.
Mhm.
Balancing, commissioning, or drawing the art, marketing, which you're actively like hurting yourself on the marketing part if you refuse to share your game.
This when I see an indie dev talk to me and be like, "Yeah, I'm working on the game and I won't tell you anything about it." It's such an immediate red flag because it just shows off that they don't understand how this industry actually works. They think that us game devs were just, we don't, first of all, have 1,000 things going on in our lives already. Seriously, even if you came up to me with the best idea on the planet and you had the blueprints just sitting right there and I could steal them, I wouldn't because I already have 16 other projects I'm working on. I'm already fried out of my mind as it is.
Why would I steal your game? Your game is terrible. Unlike my game is going to redefine the industry.
Yeah, it's that there is always some sort of it's either one of these two. Either you are so inexperienced that you think it's a legitimate threat, or you're so narcissistic that you think it's a legitimate threat.
Exactly. And to piggyback off of that, like Another reason why people won't share their games, and I've heard this a lot, is a lot of consulting clients I've had are like, "Oh, I need to patent my game mechanics because they're so unique and so original." Or even if it's not from like the narcissistic standpoint of genuinely believing that they've come up with something unique and novel, which I've talked about this before. I guarantee you haven't. They're basically every single game mechanic that's ever been pitched to me, I then go, "Oh, it's like game whatever from whenever." There's
And then
basically
they
no
say, "Well, I've never played that, but maybe."
right, exactly. But like that's the point. And like not only that, but there's literal precedent as to game mechanics being effectively unpatentable. That's why we have the TCG industry. Wizards of the Coast and Richard Garfield tried to patent the TCG, and boy, howdy, did that not hold up for even 5 freaking seconds. But putting all of that aside, I can understand why somebody would maybe think that you have to patent it. And I'm here telling you, as somebody who has made games, released games, um, none of my games are patented at all. None of my games, I haven't even bothered to do a trademark. Genuinely, in this biz, you are going to be just fine just going off of copyright alone.
Be right
Really,
back.
really, that's
Stealing
all you
System Gate.
do
Wait a
it.
second.
Do
System
it.
Gate was just stealing Buddy Fight. How could you do
Exactly.
this?
And that's the thing. Is like so many great games are built off of the shoulders and are spiritual successors of other games as well. Quote unquote, stealing somebody else's game is kind of part of how games are made. Let's be real. I mean, take a look at Doom. Doom is filled with stolen music and stolen artwork. It's still an amazing game. And take a look at Halo. Halo is about a green Lego spaceman running around and shooting aliens. It's just Doom. It's just Doom, but with like regenerating health and you can hide behind cover. Whoop de
Think
diddly.
I think part of the issue here is so many people come into this industry.
You might get something for that one, man.
The Halo
Calling
thing?
Halo a Doom clone. I don't know. I've
Yeah,
never heard that one before.
you never well, okay, dude, the entire first person shooter genre was called Doom clones
Yeah,
for
Doom
years and years and
likes.
years.
Doom clones, Doom
Right.
likes.
I think a lot of people come into this industry expecting their game to be like Flappy Bird, a novel concept idea in gameplay that is so unique in a way that immediately there are thousands upon thousands of clones of it. First of all, no. Second of all, uh, no.
It rarely ever happens. And let's think about it. Let's say that does happen, right? Does anybody know the name of a single Flappy Bird clone? No. But does everybody know Flappy Bird? Yes. If your idea really is original and you really are the first and people are out there copying you, statistically and historically, you're still going to be the one that rises to the top. Let's be real.
Unless you're PUBG, I guess.
I mean, even then, sure, Fortnite stole a lot of PUBG's thunder, but is PUBG
PUBG's no
still
slouch, yeah.
right? Exactly. PUBG is still massively successful. It's still a win.
Yeah, and
And
what has kept Fortnite successful isn't continuing to rip off new things PUBG is. They spun off in their own direction and did their whole crossovers with XYZ and the kitchen sink
mhm.
and, all these different game modes. And essentially, if Fortnite's ripping anyone off, it's Roblox, right?
Yeah, at this point, exactly. Fortnite's just become a Roblox much more than a PUBG, and it's been so much to the game's favor.
All right, you whippersnappers. I haven't looked at Fortnite since it was a zombie survival game.
I mean, honestly, same. Honestly, same.
My biggest argument against people who are paranoid about their game being stolen in any way, shape, or form is hi, I make games, right? And if someone stole my game ideas, I would see that as an opportunity, not a problem. It would be, damn, my idea is so good that someone else wanted it. I'm going to use that as marketing for my game.
So good that people started stealing it.
Like,
Right.
that's awesome. I can understand being nervous about sharing your game with other people, especially if you're coming into a space with people who have published games already and it's your first time and you're intimidated, or maybe you feel a little imposter syndrome. Who doesn't, right? Uh so I could see cases where people use, "Oh, my game could be stolen," as an excuse to, not say the real reason, which is, "I'm scared to share this off," or even if it's just not ready. I've personally preached, don't overexpose your game to people. So that's not necessarily the same thing, but you know, there's a balance in between, right?
Yes, definitely don't use that as an excuse to not play game because as Speed said earlier, you must play game.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Play game, and there was an incident that happened not too long ago with me where I was just chatting with somebody anonymously on the internet, as things go in, like, on subreddits and stuff. And they were just talking about their game, and I was like, "Okay, can you tell me, like, how it plays? What are the mechanics?" And they were just like, "No." In that instance, even if your game isn't 100% polished and ready to show people, you should still tell somebody who's genuinely curious what the core mechanics and what the core loop of your game is, because that's how you get people interested long term, and that's how you get future players and future customers. Like, Two Lanes brought this up earlier, but if you don't talk about your game and how it plays, because we're here to play game, then you're killing your own marketing, and it's such a bad idea.
And even worse than marketing, you're killing off getting opinions and feedback on your project, which
Yes.
could be the
Mhm.
difference between making a game and not making a game. I know so many people
Especially if you're
have.
like a rookie, because
Oh, yeah,
we
my
were talking
god,
about
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I know so many people out there who have, "I've worked on this game for years in secret and never told a soul," and it's terrible because they didn't get community feedback. And it's just like, if you're writing something, you should have someone else proofread it for you, because you need that secondary opinion, that set of eyes that is looking at something that's fresh, because you will skip over your own typos.
Oh, for sure. And I want to piggyback off of that because I have been pitched and presented in my career several games that are literally, I've been working on this game for 5 years in secret, and now I'm ready to reveal it to you, this one industry expert, because you signed an NDA, so I know you're not going to steal it or whatever. And then I look at the game and it's the worst thing I've ever seen. That has happened multiple times. Like, I guarantee you right now, if you're listening to this and you are working on one of these top secret games in your basement for 4 years and you've never shown it to a soul, I promise you, your game is unplayable dog water, and you need to start getting it play tested now and be ready and be prepared to change literally everything about it. I promise you, your game is bad if you have done this.
Well, damn.
The pipeline is very funny because, all three of us are really active in online communities for game designers. You can find us all over the place. And, if you're in one of those locations and you want to ask us questions, but we'll happily answer them, right? Uh, we're the type of people who like to help people, right? And it's so funny because a lot of the times when people join these communities and it's like, "So, you want to tell us about your project?" Because you asked this one very specific question and we need context in order to help you. And then we get hit with the, "No, my idea is so good, someone's going to steal it," right? It's really funny because a lot of the times that will generally break over time. It's like, "Well, okay, can you tell us this one detail so that we can help you?" Right? And they go, "Okay, here's the basics," right? And then cut to 3 months later, they've broken that part of themselves because they've seen how helpful it is to have people give feedback on their game and share their own experiences, and they are actually comfortable sharing their games. Just skip the steps to there.
Yeah, just
I
share, just share.
promise you, you will feel better about your game if you are getting other people's opinions on it, even if they're negative.
Mhm.
It's hard getting bad feedback. It is so valuable, even if the feedback is wrong. I've given some bad feedback on games before. I've given some great feedback on games before, right? Sometimes you're not batting 100 when giving feedback on someone else's project. That happens. It's your job as the game's owner, as its designer, to filter the bad commentary from the good. But you need that commentary to start with. It isn't just like yeah, this will help your game. No, it is mandatory. And if you're not getting it, you are also just signaling to the rest of the industry, to everyone around you, that you're a moron.
Yeah, without a doubt. And like Jacob said, I've also given bad feedback in the past. Like sometimes I'll take a look at a game, read through its rule book, and be like, "Hey, I don't know about this one mechanic. I think it might result in X, Y, or Z." And then I've had the game designer be like, "No, I don't think it will." And I'm like, "Ah, okay." And maybe down the line I'll play the game a little bit more and realize I'm wrong and go back and admit that I'm wrong. But what's so important about taking feedback, and this could be a whole nother episode, is the best way to take feedback on your game. But like when you receive negative feedback, it's going to hurt. It's going to feel a little bit like a personal attack. That's just how our brains are wired. But don't respond to it right away. Take a moment, take a step back, like sit on it and chew it on it for a bit, and then come back and think, what are like the actionable pieces of information? What can I act on in this piece of feedback? And does it have any merits, compared to what I've seen in playtesting, right? And that's a really good way to take feedback. And you're going to need that negative feedback. And the other thing to keep in mind is that not every game is for everybody. So sometimes when you get that negative feedback, you have to think, okay, is this feedback about something going wrong with how I wanted the game to play? Or is this feedback negative saying your game is playing the way it was intended to be played, and I don't personally like that, right? That's something that you have to weigh, and it takes time and it takes skill, and sometimes you might get it wrong and misinterpret it, but you'll get it over time.
I'm personally very opinionated on games and the styles of games.
He definitely is.
Yes,
No,
there are
without a
types of
doubt.
games I really, really like, and there are types of games I really, really don't. That doesn't mean I can't give good feedback on those types of games. Knowing my own biases, I make it a point to say, I am personally biased against X, but here's the reasons I'm thinking about it.
Mhm.
We actually had a recent example between Ride and I, actually, where you know what I'm going for,
I
right?
know exactly where you're going with this.
Uh, for the development of the reboot of Caster Chronicles, the formerly owned by Force of Will game that we now own and run and are relaunching. We'll be talking more about that in the future. We'll do some real cool commentary on it,
So
but
make
that's
sure
not.
you subscribe so you
Yes,
get to
Whoa!
see that
subscribe.
episode
Whoa,
when it
hit the
comes
button,
out.
ring the bell.
Ah.
Woo! Sorry.
A change was made to the way text is formatted on the cards as a text saving thing, because the text boxes in that game are pretty small and they could often get really cluttered. So a change was made to save space on those text boxes. Some problem solving card text, right?
Mhm.
And I just said, "Hey, personally, I hate this. This is just one of those like phrases and types of ways to phrase something that I really dislike in card games. It makes sense and you should do it."
Is it when a once per turn is like a OPT or like until end of turn is like you at?
No, it was
Okay, those are mine. I hate EOT so much. It's not a word. It's just
yeah.
letters.
Yeah.
No, it was how a card refers to itself.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
the
so
first
we
person thing.
yeah. Yeah, first
Yes.
person
I hate
thing.
that too.
Yeah, some people really hate it, and I totally get it, but I'm working with, like, you know,
You
a
got to do what you
postage
got to
stamped.
do. Yeah.
I gotta do what I gotta do, man. It's kinda like the choice between I can either make this font, like, 2 point, or I can have cards say I and me instead of,
This
this.
card.
Yeah, right, exactly, exactly. It's kinda like one or the other, and I'm just like, "Ah, we'll do
Yeah.
we'll do what we
Right.
gotta do."
So when that choice was made, I gave that feedback of, "Hey, personally, I hate this. I understand why we're doing it. I've weighed why we're doing it. I just want to let you know I'm dying on the inside every time I read it."
Yeah. No, so that is all true, but Jacob, you're missing out one important piece of context. How you started that conversation was you sent me a message of we have a big problem in Caster Chronicles. And I almost shat myself, okay? I was like, "Oh no, what did I And then
I'll be honest, I love baiting you.
it was so funny. Oh,
Yeah.
Well, if we're doing this little section about feedback, might as well indulge on the rambling off on a side quest. My game has preset decks that you basically shuffle together. And I got a piece of feedback once that somebody was mad that there was no deck building and said the game had no depth and they wouldn't play it again. And it's just like, well, I mean, that's okay. That's just the game, man.
mhm. Yeah, and that's a really that thank you so much for bringing that up because that's a really good example of, like, sorting out what is, actionable feedback on what you're making, and somebody just saying, "Your game is working exactly the way you intended it, therefore I don't like it." And it's like, well, then at that point, you're just not gonna like Predator or Prey, which is unfortunate because Predator or Prey is the best board game I played in 2025.
You haven't played it this year yet.
It's 2026, my man.
Wait, oh no. Huh, cut that part out. Cut it out.
Guess who's going in a short?
I was like, "What are you talking about?" Oh, man, I cannot freaking wait to get your game in my hands
I
physically,
mean,
dude.
it's technically true. You haven't played it this year.
I have
It
not
could be
played
an
it this year.
unrelated statement, actually.
You know what? I need to play more Predator or Prey, dude. That game's
Me
so
too.
fucking good.
Dude, seriously,
Whew,
when we
saved it.
played it together physically at Gen Con, it was one of my favorite experiences. It was so much fun.
And
Uh,
you know what? And you know what? Here, I'm gone. Bringing it full circle. Sorry, I'm good turning into yell mode. But bringing it
Do it.
back to full circle. My game has been like on open display since it was a game jam game, and no one came along and said, "This game's actually really good. I'm gonna make it before he makes it." So, I mean, just you don't have to worry about it really. I have the set two stuff almost done in the tabletop simulator mod, and the people that show up every week to play it have probably not read those cards. So you don't have to worry about randos stealing your game.
Uh, I also wanted to talk about this on the other side. We've been talking about this as fellow game creators offering feedback and advice, but in particular, Two Lanes, you are in the front lines doing reviews of games often, talking to as a content creator, talking to game creators. And I'd like to ask, like, what's that experience? Do you get the same thing where, they're forcing you to sign NDAs, they're like super control freaks over how you present your info and you can't talk about this, that type of thing?
No, because most of the time on reviews, like it's already done and out. I've had a couple like, here, do you want to come play test this? Also sign this NDA, and I'm just like, I have other games I could play. I don't. So there's just like a visceral reaction to like play testing like a TCG type game and getting hit with an NDA from like an indie thing. Like if it was some big company, like Bandai's like, here, you want to play our next secret project? Like that would be understandable, but
Sure.
just somebody being like, hey, here's a battle war fight of the factions. Do you have to sign an NDA? And I'm like, no, I don't wanna, not really.
Yeah, that would be a deal breaker for me just because it's annoying more than anything. But
Like, oh, what is the worst thing I'm gonna do? Talk about your game?
Yeah, right, exactly. Like, "Oh, no, I'm gonna tell people your game was cool and they should play test it too." What a travesty. Like, I've signed a couple NDAs in my career, but it's always been
Me
with
too.
larger companies, right?
Oh, not me too.
Oh, sorry.
I've done a couple, and it's just one of the games I signed an NDA for never ended up coming out.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Ex
relate to that so much. I've seen so many games where they take all those steps and precautions. They've got everything in a lockbox with 4 armed guards around it who even get to have visible guns. It's crazy. Uh
America.
and and the game never comes out.
Yeah,
So they wasted all that time and energy, right? I think that happens more often than people realize, being insular like that, especially, this is actually a pretty common thing with like indie video games as well, where it's like, hi, I made Stardew Valley and I spent 5 years privately working on it and in secret. But then Stardew Valley had open beta for years of playtesting before it became one of the biggest games on the planet.
exactly. That exactly Exactly. Yes.
And guess what?
100%.
There are 17,000 ripoffs of Stardew Valley.
And yet my favorite one sucked, or my favorite idea for one sucked. I wish I
No,
could steal that idea and make it into a real game.
do it.
Yeah.
Re-Legend, man. If you want a sad time, look up Re-Legend. It was billed as Stardew Valley Digimon World
Oh,
action
Oh, that sounds
RPG.
so cool.
And
shit.
it was so close, and it just was kind of not great.
Oh, man, that sounds awesome. I'd play that. I'd play that if it was good.
See, video games take a lot of effort. I mean,
That's true.
tabletop games take a lot of effort to make too. You got to make all the assets and do all the things, and yeah, people just aren't gonna waltz up and steal things.
Yeah,
Right,
I'm sure
exactly.
It
Concerned
doesn't
Ape
happen.
is not losing sleep over the ripoffs of Stardew Valley while he's literally lying in 6,000 beds made out of money at once, right?
Mhm.
Solid gold room. He is
Right.
Scrooge McDucking every day, right? That type of thing generally doesn't matter. I'm not saying never protect yourself, you know. I mean, look at the art world. Like people make commissions and stuff, and you'll be asked to like send over, the versions before you've been paid, right? And it's like, okay, here, but there's a watermark on top of it, right? That type of common sense consideration is worth having. If you're very early on in development and someone's like, "Yeah, send me all your card files." Like maybe you're like, "Okay, maybe
Right.
I've
maybe
done
give me
that
a little
before.
bit." Right?
I've done that before. I'm like, hey, I'm doing a gameplay video. Can I have your card files so I can put them on the screen?
Well,
Like
Right.
that's a
Well,
little
you're
different, but
and then I run off and then I steal it and I sell it. No, I
right.
don't do that because that would still take effort to do.
It would take so much effort, and to kind of, like, side tangent this, I have one story from my years of doing this, of somebody actually stealing a game that I know of. I have one example. So, one of our consulting clients on the indie end, he came to us one day and said, "Hey, there's this guy who's, running in kind of the same internet circles as me, who now says he has a game and it's basically a direct copy of my game and it's a very similar name and the rules are basically identical. What do I do?" And my advice to him was, just release your game, bro. Like, if this guy is so creatively bankrupt that he has to steal your game, he's never going to release the game. He's never going to release his own version. It's just never going to happen. He's never going to be able to do it. And he's certainly not going to be able to do it before you. So just ignore him and just make your game, dog. And that's kind of the answer to this. Like, if you're in the indie world and you're making a game and you're decently along and you're sharing your gameplay and somebody else is like, "Hey, I'm gonna do that now." Just keep doing your thing, bro, and you're gonna just win.
right. And I really want to stress just how much of a non-issue this is. I guarantee 99.9999999% of people will never, ever, ever have to worry about this. Especially, please don't spend money doing stuff like trademarks or uh,
Patents,
Nah,
patents are the
dog.
patents,
real one.
patents especially.
I just emailed it to myself, man.
But if you don't have the money to hire a lawyer, a actual professional trademark lawyer to tell you whether or not it's a good idea to trademark your stuff, then you probably shouldn't be spending the thousands of dollars to trademark something.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And
I
there are a
agree.
lot of companies out there that are trademark scams. I just wanted to say this as well. Get this out. There are a lot of companies out there who will take money for trademarks and do the trademark process for shit they know is not worth trademarking, but they'll just accept your money. Avoid that kind of stuff too. They'll tell you it's a great idea to trademark your stuff, right? It's
Mhm.
not. If you haven't reached the $10,000 worth of sales, you'd need minimum to justify trademarking, then why are you worrying about it, right?
Totally.
Uh, but I'm so confident that it is not an issue for anyone. I want to say right now, guess what? I am a game creator. I've put hundreds of hours into my game Junk World. I love Junk World. It's an amazing game. I'm telling you right now, you have my permission to steal it. Do whatever you want. take my pictures, take all these beautiful arts we made, all these cool cards, print them with MPC and try and sell them. I fucking dare you.
Yeah, no, do it. I actually that it'd be hilarious if people were like, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get like knockoff copies of Junk World out in the market. It's like, yes, spread Jacob's game around more, actually. Yeah, do that. I encourage this. Email me. I will send you the PSDs.
Right. Make your own garbage world knockoff. I don't care. Right? Do whatever you want. I'm so confident that nothing bad will come out of that to my game, to my
Send those to
profits.
me so I can rename the graveyard to something else, and then that's the only change I make.
Okay, yeah, dude, straight up. I will do that
No,
right
no, no,
now, and
no,
then
no,
you
no,
can
no, 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 no. It was just a bit.
The
It was
two
just a
lanes
bit.
cut.
It's good. Like, I'm actually, you know what? Not even joking. Too late. I will send you the PSDs. You can change graveyard to like garbage pile or whatever, and then just print your own special
Yes.
copy of it. Like, that's fine. Go nuts. I don't
I
care.
I would be so genuinely surprised if someone did that, because like even that minimum amount of text editing is still going to be a couple of hours of work just to get the files, right? Like if you love my game so much that you're willing to put hours into fixing it, that's great.
Yeah, thank you. Share it in our Discord server as your own fan made version. That's funny. Yeah. No, I
I
love
do.
that.
I have one, maybe two examples of games being stolen. The first one is a game that was made by multiple people, and one of them decided to be a butt and ran off with it and, published it without the other ones anymore. So that's not even a rando. That's like a, bad business partner kind of
Mhm.
interaction. But like it didn't stop the other person to with eventually coming out with the game. The game, I'm just gonna say it, is it was Zoo Tiles. Originally, it's been in development for a long time. The person that ran off with it came out with it as Chizo Rising. You know what that is? Probably not.
I have
No, I
never
don't know
heard of
that
that.
one. I
I've
do
heard
know
of
Zoo
Zoo
Tiles
Tiles
though.
tons of times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What is it? Chizo Rising?
Chizo Rising.
How do you spell Chizo?
It's like Chinese.
Cheez. Oh,
Well, it's like
It's-
Chinese CHI Zo, like Zodiac. So Chinese Zodiac Rising, Chizo Rising. I guess it'd be Chizo Rising.
I'm looking at this right now. I straight up did a Google. I have
Oh,
never
yeah,
heard of
no, I
nor
had no
seen
idea
this
this was a
in my
thing.
life.
Okay.
Whereas I've heard of Zoo Tiles plenty of times.
Yeah.
So yeah, good example, I guess,
That's a
right?
really good example, yeah.
And then the other one
Shout
is
out Josh from Zoo Tiles, I
Yeah,
guess.
woo!
Cool game.
and the other one is a game that somebody made initial rules for and then didn't do anything with for like a year or two, and somebody was like, I like this very much. I'm going to actually finish making the game. And they did.
I yeah, that honestly on that second example, I'm not even like mad about that because like bro didn't bro didn't make the game. He didn't finish it, right? So it's like at that point, you see nothing going on with this thing. Like, yeah, put your own spin on that, dude. Finish it off. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I would love for someone to take one of my unfinished rule sets and then spend all the time, effort, and money to finish the game and be like, hell yeah, I
Dude,
didn't have
I
to
am
do any of
literally
that.
paying people
Right?
to do that right now.
literally, like I have zero problems with that. I mean, the only thing that's like kind of
But
poopy
if it
about that,
becomes the next Pokemon, then I don't get the money.
it's never gonna be the next Pokemon. And I was just gonna say, like, I think the only like mildly stinky thing about that second example you brought up, Two Lanes, is the original designer didn't get credited. As if it's the story, I think I know what you're talking about.
No. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely not.
the original designer didn't get credit. That's a little shitty of the guy that took the rule set. Like that's what I'm saying. Like if you're just honest about your inspirations, like I'll come out and say it. I ripped Buddy Fight the fuck off after it died to make System Gate. System Gate is just Buddy Fight wearing a funny hat, okay? I'm not ashamed of that. I'm not embarrassed of that. People make spiritual successors to their favorite games all the time, and I don't think that's a problem. Like,
It's like
dude,
one of my
Freedom
favorite things to
Planet.
do.
What's that?
I said it's like one of my favorite things to do is like take a rule system and be like, all right, but like, what if this one thing was different? Or, what if I did this instead?
Exactly. Freedom Planet is just a Sonic the Hedgehog fan game. There, I said it.
You know, I have said if play game is one of your classic quotes, 2 lanes,
Yep. I said,
uh,
if you go to
what
the HTCG Discord server and search play game, but spell it GAEM, you will find just me saying it over and over again.
yeah,
Well,
I've
now I know
I've
what the
seen it many a
thumbnail's gonna
time.
be.
One of my classic quotes, I think then not to that same level because it is not memeable, but it's, "If you think you've made a unique game, no, you haven't."
Mhm.
Right? I see
So
that
true.
all the time, and there are so many people out there who just don't appreciate just how many games there are out there.
Oh yeah,
You
it's like
know?
the number one thing in like the indie card sphere is, somebody's like, I'm making this game. And then they learn how many other games are in the indie card sphere because they had no idea. They're like, oh, card games, that's like Magic the Gathering and Pokemon and One Piece, and like, that's it, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, buddy.
Yeah,
No, right.
and I've had people that I have signed NDAs with because they're like, I wanna pay you to help me with my amazing project." By the way, this one I'm referencing never came out, but that's neither here nor there. And it's like, I need help making this project a reality, but I need to know you're serious." First of all, red flag.
Red flag, red
Red flag.
flag.
Uh, and I need you to sign this NDA because my idea is amazing, and there's genuine threats that people are gonna steal it if they see it before it's printed, right? Many red flags in there, and then it's like, "Okay, alright, sure, buddy." I signed the NDA, right? And it's like, "Alright, so my big concept is it's like Magic the Gathering, but you can use any card as a land."
Whoa, crazy! It's gonna be $1 million.
It's so funny.
I'm like, "Oh, and do you have a shield system too?"
Yeah.
And they're like "Oh,
Dude,
what?" I'm like, "Oh, do you put face down cards to be your life?" And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, how yeah, I don't call." I forget what the guy called it, but he did not call it a shield system, and he's like, "Why would you call it that?"
I love when people call that reverse prizes. Like that just breaks my mind in
oh,
a
dude,
funny way.
it hurts when I hear reverse prizes, man. I'm just like, it's not what that is, but okay.
Yeah,
And
because Pokemon's about you put 6 cards down, and when you knock out your opponent's Pokemon, you pick up a prize card. So you have to get all your prize cards to win. Shield is like the opposite of that, where you put cards down, your opponents attack them, and then like they go to your hand or the trash if it's a bad shield system.
yep,
And yeah, so calling shields reverse prizes is just always funny to me.
it is.
Could you imagine if Pokemon with its reverse shield system, could you imagine if it used, like, break cards or shield burst or whatever you
Shield
wanna call
triggers.
it?
Oh my gosh.
Dude, I that would be absolutely insane. That would be funny. It would be very funny if they
Make
did
the
that.
win more mechanic even more
Even
win
Just
win
do
more.
it.
more.
Just go to the moon. There's this is a bit of a side tangent, but since we were
What
talking
if it
about
was also backwards? What if the shield triggers were bad?
dude. Oh
Oh, guys, don't steal that game idea!
no,
That's
they're gonna.
ours! It's
Oh
gonna
no.
make us $1,000,000!
Ah! Our everything's ruined. Our game ideas are gonna be stolen. No.
Why? I'm not putting this episode out. I can't risk this $1,000,000,000 idea getting out. I mean, putting out this episode will lose us $1,000,000,000.
And what's even funnier is that you're saying that, and it was Tulane's idea, so you're stealing his idea live on air.
What are you talking
Oh
about? It
my
was my idea.
gosh. I'm suing.